These stinking drones. More information about the drones. They're still out there. They've been out there. They've been flying around in different parts of the world and still no significant answers. But one person, to his credit, that really has been hammering this issue has been Ross Coulthart, News Nation, who's been talking about this, and every opportunity he has to speak to someone of note about this topic, he pushes them on it, and he asks them about it, and he tries to figure out. You can tell the disdain kind of in his voice when he mentions drones in general, because he doesn't believe that that's just what this is. So he had Lue Elizondo on his show, and they talked about the drones. It's interesting as he presses Lue on this, that Lue seems to be a little bit more willing to talk these days. And all right, and so Skywatch Signal had kind of posted that type of comment as well, that it seems like Lue has been more forthcoming with his information. And this is a longer clip. It's like a 4-minute clip. So I want to play this clip about the drones from News Nation, from Ross Coulthart, and we'll listen to Lue's response, and then we'll discuss it after it. Take a look.
Interesting, because there were two generals. General Glenn Van Herk was one of them, former NORAD Northcom commander, who went on 60 Minutes, Bill Whitaker, CBS 60 Minutes, earlier in the year, I think in March. And they basically acknowledged that there was essentially complete ignorance about what these drones were, supposedly drones that were being seen over the continental United States, that were apparently breaching military sites and civilian aircraft sites with impunity. It's still going on, Lue. I mean, can you explain to our audience, do you think that these are drones? I mean, a lot of people in Europe are now beginning to doubt that these are what people are suggesting, Russian-instigated drones that are hovering over very sensitive military facilities. We've had incursions now over the continental United States, over huge chunks of Western Europe, including over some of the most sensitive military bases in Western Europe and in the UK. Each time the authorities have admitted that they've not been able to track, follow, or even detect these objects before they arrived on the scene. They haven't been able to follow them to where they came from. It's a consistent pattern of a technology, I don't even know if we should call it drones, which appears to be superior to anything that we've seen to date. Do you agree?
That's a great point, Ross. When people ask, is everything in the sky, is it a drone, is it a UAP, or could it be both? And so let me put this into context. Right now, our military bases, well, let's start in the past. If there was an incursion to the perimeter of a military base, we would usually deploy some sort of quick reaction force, a security team, a security force out there, special police, to go out and investigate the breach or the potential breach. And that would have included even helicopter crews to send them out and go to figure out what's going on. Now we realize that we can protect our own borders much easier, much more efficiently using autonomous aerial surveillance like drones. Basically, you have a geo-coordinate area that's geo-fenced, and if you get something that's you think is breaking through your perimeter, you can launch drones now, and it's much cheaper and much more effective. It's much safer. You can loiter, you can cover multiple locations at once, and so we now in the U.S. government use drones ourselves to perform security type tasks. And so it's not inconceivable that when people are reporting these small drones that are whirring around with navigation lights, and then other people are reporting, no, these drones are the size of an SUV and they're disappearing over the horizon instantly. What we might have is a combination where you have at first some sort of UAP activity in and around a sensitive military installation, and that's being seen by certain witnesses. And then you have the U.S. government response to that, which is drones, launching some drones, law enforcement as well, to go try to investigate or prosecute whatever is going on from a collection perspective. And then people are reporting seeing those. No, it's a drone, it's a quadcopter. And so the reality is, Ross, both may be true. Right? And we simply don't know unless we apply more resources and more effort into this topic. We have seen over the course of 4 years that very unsophisticated capabilities like balloons, right, also still serve as a threat. You have the drone issue, you have the UAP issue, right, and you have all these other, if you will, if look at the news on any given week, and you're going to see some report of either a near air mid collision. I'm here in Washington, D.C. right now, and it wasn't too long ago we had a mid air collision with a regional jet hitting a helicopter, right, and people dying over the Potomac River. So it's still a problem. We still don't know what's in our skies, despite there being a mandate by Congress, by the American people, and even the U.S. government. We're not doing a great job of it.
Okay, so this is where I get concerned, because if the president or people senior in his administration, we know they've received this memo, they haven't acted on it. Nothing's happened. The president,
well, we don't know that, do we?
The president's made no announcement on UAP.
We're presuming nothing's been done, but again, I want to be very careful. I hate to assume certain things. You know what assuming does, right? So I'll use the word presume. Just because the administration doesn't say anything doesn't mean that they're not taking it seriously.
I mean, sure. At the end there, sure. It doesn't mean they're not taking it seriously. That's an easy answer, right? And that's the fact that, we're taking everything serious. Here's the problem with that, though. It's when you get an interview with someone, when Vice President Vance is on a show and he's like, oh, I'm really interested in that UAP stuff, the UFO stuff. I wonder what's going on. It's like, that's not what the vice president should be saying. Not that he shouldn't be interested. Of course he should be. But he should say, look, the amount of meetings that I've had with certain members inside of this task force and the things that we've been discussing and the drone situation about what potentially could be happening, there's a lot of information I can't speak about, but I have been briefed on this. The president has been briefed on this. And this is a conversation that we're having internally. That's the type of stuff that, yes, it can be talked about. So just as Lou says, well, just because they're not talking about it doesn't mean they're not taking it seriously. When you're on a show like that, and I'm using the vice president as an example here, again, I know he's interested in the topic, but when he was on with that goofball, when Vance said, I'm interested in UAP, and he was like, laughing, like, adding to the stigma stuff. It's the way that things are addressed. But in general, another reason of not taking it serious, or at least telling the public they're not taking it serious, is when they make the announcement in the beginning of this year and say, oh, well, no, it's actually the FAA. They were doing tests, so everything's good. That's what it was. So they lied to us. So just because they're silent doesn't mean they're not taking it serious. Well, but they're lying to us, and they're not telling us if they know what it is. They're not being upfront with us and telling us what it is. I did like how Lou kind of alluded to the fact that, again, this is clearly, and this is other things that have been said. And Ryan Graves has said the same thing when he was talking about it, that it could be a mixture of both. And the idea that if there are UAPs that are out there and we have technology that tracks them to put that up there, that could be a viable reason of why you're seeing all of these different things. And the flip side to all of that is that it's very possible that it could be technology that we just don't have an understanding of, that other countries have, or that we have, or whatever it might be. There could be these tests. There could be things out there. But how is that going to play in the long run? Right? So, and it's December now. Are we going to start seeing more drone stuff too? As Ross Coulthart brings up, I mean, he's over it with the topic. He's over with the BS. But if you look into that video that we put out yesterday with Ross Coulthart when he was talking to Tim Burchett, and that Burchett is requesting a meeting with the president about this topic, how much of the topic is the president really in on? And if you go back to the Age of Disclosure interview, Marco Rubio, when he said presidents are usually really don't have all the information that maybe they should. But when it comes to this drone stuff, if there's, and we're not just talking about the stuff that was over Jersey, we're talking about the stuff that's in Europe, we're talking about the stuff that was over Langley, we're talking about stuff that is concerning. But it is one of those things, again, broken record, incoming here, if this was covered every day by the news, then you bet your ass we would get more answers, because that's the constant question that would be asked at these press conferences. Look at something like, obviously, the Epstein files. It's not going to go away. People are going to keep talking about it until there are answers, until the file is released. And it's consistent of like, we want to know what is happening. What is happening? They tried many times to say, oh, he's still talking about this? Leave it alone. No one cares anymore. Well, we care. We care. What's happening with it? And every day there wasn't you couldn't go on any of your social media things without seeing what's going on with the files, who's going to release it, and both sides of the aisle going, we need answers, we need answers. And eventually that's like, okay. How do you not do that for drones that we don't have the answers to if it's a foreign government? If it's technology that another government has, how does everybody should be talking about this just as much as those files? Just as much, because it's a matter of what does it mean in the thought process of, okay, it's NHI, it's UAP, that's what it is. Well, if you guys know that for sure, then we should know that, because people are driving around and are they benevolent? What are they? And if they're not, should I not be driving underneath this thing? Is it dangerous? Let's take that out of the equation. Let's say that it is, and you know that it's a foreign government and other things, and you're not telling us. Same thing. If it's technology that we have, that we are developing, is it dangerous? Is there anything in general? What is it made of? What is it? But what they have done, and done well, is that they have let it play out in the media cycle. And it really just lives with the curiosity of online people. You can get away with that if it doesn't really catch fire, and it hasn't, because Ross Coulthart covers this stuff. This is what he does. This is his job. So they know that the majority of times when he's putting out big interviews is going to be stuff like this: drones, UAPs, military about UAP-based stuff. That's where he's like the reporter that covers it, and it's on News Nation. I saw something, though, last night. Avi Loeb was on Gotti Schwartz, I think. And so that's good. Gotti does cover things, though. He has. He's covered UAP stuff, and he's given good segments on NBC. He has been for quite a while. So you got to give him props, too, because and it wasn't just like a 3-second thing like, oh, Avi Loeb thinks 3i Atlas is this, and there's some crazy AI stuff. No, they covered it for about 5 to 10 minutes, and had an interview with him, and talked about AI, talked about 3i Atlas, talked about all these things, and like that's solid. That's why 3i Atlas is a little bit more covered, but it's still baffling to me when you bring up 3i Atlas to people. If you guys do an experiment for me and comment on my next video, ask someone in your life that doesn't necessarily pay attention to this topic at all, and ask them, but pays attention to the news, someone who's kind of well read into the news, and ask them if they've heard about 3i Atlas. Everybody should know about 3i Atlas. The drones, I mean, I think everybody should know about the drones, but 3i Atlas, I mean, that's not, even if you don't think that it's anything out of the ordinary, and it's a comet. It's a comet that's moving at a different speed, and it's kind of moving like, it's news. Remember, back in the day, they always talked about comets and asteroids and all these things, but it's not covered as much. It's covered more, not as much. But when it comes to these drones, what kind of information are we going to get? And I don't ignore. I mean, sometimes when people ask me like my opinion, like, well, what do you think it is? I think it's a mixture of both. I just think it's too coincidental when it comes to military bases and things like that these things are always seen over. That the balloon thing, you guys know, again, if you've been following me long enough, the balloon thing drives me nuts. There's debunker that no matter what, always with the balloons, it drives me nuts. And not that a lot of times it actually is balloons, but everything is a balloon for this one guy. Everything is a balloon. They cannot take you serious anymore if everything is a balloon. But anyway, these drones are not balloons. These are not balloons. So what are they? Are they going to pop back up again? This month? Next month? At all? Ever again? Or are we just not getting coverage on it? What do you think? What say you? Put your thoughts in there. Let me know. Again, thanks for being part of it. Subscribe to the channel. Click like, comment, do all that. I appreciate you, and we'll see you on the flip side.